After learning your energy type in human design, the next step is really to take a look at the centers in your human design chart. These centers are like the energy hub that tell the story about who you are and how you're meant to move about the world. Hey everyone, my name is Dana and I am here to demystify and simplify what it means to be an MG so that you can live your most aligned and purposeful life possible. Let's dive in. All right, guys, so today we are talking about the energy centers of human design. We have evolved from a 7-centered being into a 9-centered being. And this happened in the late 1700s. So in the grand scheme of things, we are still getting used to our 9 centers. And fun fact, we are on our way to evolving into an 11-center being. Okay, so what are these energy hubs? These are the energy hubs that govern different parts of your body. You will see on the human design body graph that they are either in the shape of a square, a triangle, or in the middle, the G center is a diamond. And they have the little numbers around them, which are called the gates, and they have the channels coming off of them. Today, we are just going to talk about the centers, but I want to give you that idea that every layer of your human design chart goes together. Looking at what you have colored in your chart and what you have white in your chart is a great next step. So let's talk about that first. What is a defined center versus an undefined center? A defined center you will have colored in your chart, and that is because you have a gate in that center that is defined and it connects through a channel to another center that is defined, and that gives it a color. And defined means you have consistent access to this energy every day in your life. So I would argue that your defined energy centers, it's really important for you to really get to know them. You can still be conditioned in those centers. It doesn't mean just because you have it defined, you are totally in alignment with that center. So getting to know that center and knowing, okay, for the rest of my life, I wake up every day and have that same consistent access to this center's energy. Now it's my opportunity to really get to know it on a very intuitive and embodied level. On the flip side, when your center is white or undefined, there's 2 options. You can still have a gate that is defined coming off of it, but it simply just doesn't connect to another energy center. Or you can have it completely open, which means you don't see any of those numbers or gates lit up around that center. And what that means is your center is undefined and you go about the world and you pick up the energy of other people who have it defined or colored in and you amplify it. You can feel that energy. You can feel into their aura and go, wow, that's a really cool feeling. I'm going to embody this right now. And then you can step out of it again if you so choose and say, it's not mine. Personally, when I started learning human design, was a bit fearful of my undefined centers because there's 2 sides to them, which there's 2 sides to the defined as well. Either you're really connected to it or you're not. And with the undefined center, either you're walking around picking up other people's energy, not realizing it's not yours, because this is a new concept for a lot of people, that you are an energy being. You can read energy. It's not necessarily up here in your mind. It's in these centers that are white and undefined. And for people who don't have awareness of that, they can really go around picking up that energy and feel like it's theirs and not kind of get rid of it when they're outside of that energy and outside of that environment or those people's auras. So don't be afraid of the undefined center because that's where so much wisdom can come from as well. And that maybe you're meant to reflect the world back to these people who have the defined centers. The wisdom is there is let's just take the emotional center because that's kind of the easiest to grasp with this very popular concept of being an empath. It's somebody who can feel other people's emotions deeply. And I would argue that most people who have an undefined solar plexus, the little triangle in your graph on the right-hand side, they can really walk into a room or step into a conversation with one person and really feel what that person's emotions are that day and pick it up and amplify it back to them, or maybe even be able to name it to them before that defined emotional center can even name it for themselves. So all centers are beautiful. If you have a ton of defined centers in your chart, that's amazing. You're really here to be in your own expression and share that with others, and that is such a gift. If you have a lot of undefined white areas in your chart, even like the energy type or reflector, they have all of their 9 centers undefined. There's so much wisdom there for you to be able to walk into an environment in a room and have the wisdom and courage to say, this is definitely for me, it's aligned, or actually, no, after sampling this energy, I'm going to step out of of here, either literally or energetically. So I encourage you all, your first step is to really take a look at your own body graph and make note on, do you have more defined centers or more undefined centers? Because that's like a quick telltale of, like, for example, if you have a lot of defined centers, but maybe only one or two undefined, I would say those one or two undefined are centers to really get to know, because you're here to really overcome the lower expression of those centers, which is picking up the energy and letting it frazzle you, and really having the wisdom of how to amplify other people's energy when you're around them and name certain things for them that are coming from that energy center. So this video is a quick introduction to the centers. I want to go from the top of the head and all the way down and talk about what these centers represent and what they govern for you. The very top of the head, it's considered a pressure center. It's called your head center. This is the center for inspiration and ideas. If you have it defined, you don't need to take in a lot of information from outside. You actually have this like direct connection to source energy of ideas dropping into your defined head center and allowing you to bring it down into your body. If it's defined, you have consistent mental pressure and your brain may be very active. You may actually enjoy having music on while getting work done. And it's very important to you, because that's a pressure center, depending on how the rest of the centers are defined in your chart, to really allow that pressure to come in and move downward, whether that's through movement or mindfulness practices. If you have your head center undefined, you can have the wisdom of really being in conversation with someone and almost being a little telepathic on what's going on in their head center. Is it anxiety? You may pick up the mental anxiety and pressure from other environments a little more easily. The wisdom of an undefined head center is that you can really take in inspiration from so many different places, podcasts, books, like different inspiration, and it just coming to you. You are so open there that you can take it in and really synthesize what's true for you as you bring that pressure down into your body. So everyone feels mental pressure. The defined person has their own consistent mental pressure that they wake up into every day. The undefined person can bring in the mental pressure from the environments around them and really synthesize it. Then that brings you down to your Ajna, or like a lot of people like to call the third eye center. And this is the center for really conceptualizing ideas. So if you have it colored in, you wake up every day with very consistent access to the way that you formulate your thoughts and opinions. You have this consistent way of conceptualizing your ideas. So get to know that, right? If you have it undefined, you don't have a consistent way of formulating your thoughts and opinions. Especially, I think most people who have their Ajna undefined also have their head center undefined. So you're taking in this information from all different sorts of places and resources, bringing it down into your Ajna. And maybe one day you conceptualize it by journaling. Maybe the next day you contemplate and you focus on one idea and kind of let it loop through you as you go about your day. Maybe another day you meditate in silence to really conceptualize some ideas. Another example is researching. So you get to kind of taste test how you want to formulate your facts and opinions in your mind. Okay, bringing it down to your throat center. This is the center for manifestation, for speaking your truth, for making things happen. This is the center that makes us so human, because we are able to speak and put words to our intuition, our thoughts, our emotions and feelings. Now, if you have this center defined, you have a consistent way, depending on what other centers it's connected to, for speaking about your life. You could be speaking about your thoughts, but you could also be speaking about what excites you, or your identity, or your emotions, or your intuition. You are here to really wake up every day and have a consistent way of having your voice and your little t truth heard. If you have it undefined, you go about the world almost wanting to feeling what people do want to say, especially if maybe they're not so healthy in their defined throat. You can feel like, okay, they want to say this, so I'm going to say it for them. Or the higher wisdom of an undefined throat center is actually like you're really good at listening and knowing when it is the right time to speak. And you can really be in an environment or with a group of friends or even one person, and maybe they are trying to get something they're trying to say out, and you can intuitively pick that up and you're able to say it for them. You're able to speak on behalf of other people, which is such a gift. Okay, then we're bringing it down to your identity center, which is this diamond in the middle of your chart. And this center represents your self-identity in this lifetime, your direction and your love. It is this core essence of what makes you you. And whether you have it defined or undefined, you will come to a place where you can feel your identity center. But when it's defined, you always have this consistent connection to yes, this is my due north part of my compass. This is me. This is my identity. When it's undefined, you get to sample other environments and people and their identities of what makes them them and their direction in life. And over time, your wisdom comes with an undefined identity center of what stays consistent for me when I sample this friend's direction and that friend's direction, and which ones do I like and which ones do I keep in my life. And over time in your life, you're really able to synthesize, yes, this is my identity. This is what feels good to me, whether that's in an environment or around certain friends and family. So taking it over to the heart center, that's that little triangle that's to the right of the G center. This is the center for your ego, your willpower, and your self-worth. More people have this center undefined than they have it defined, and it's a fairly new center for us. So we are all getting used to knowing that we have nothing to prove to anybody else, and we only need to know what our own self-worth is. If you have this center defined, you have a strong sense of self when it comes to drive and ambition. You're able to take this energy as kind of like that backup engine that comes in and competes and goes the extra mile. If you have the center undefined, your job in this lifetime is to know you have nothing to prove to other people, and you have inconsistent access to willpower and motivation. Think about that and how conditioned we are to think that we are supposed to wake up every day and have the same amount of drive and passion for the work that we're getting done in this world. If you have that center undefined, one day you may feel a lot of that passion and confidence to really go for it and prove yourself. And on the next day, you may not feel any of that. So being aware of that when it is undefined, especially when you're in a new environment or maybe like a self-development seminar or something, if you are picking up other people's defined ego centers, you may be feeling really motivated to go out there and make things happen and drive. And then when you're by yourself again, you don't have that consistent access to willpower and drive. And that can be quite daunting. So that's the ego center. Then let's take it down. Where should we go next? Let's go down below that to the solar plexus. That is your emotional center. Now, around 50% of the population are considered emotional beings. They have an emotional authority, which means they have that solar plexus defined, colored in. And that means you wake up every day in different types of emotional weather according to where your emotional wave is that day. So for the person who has their emotional center defined, you have the wisdom of really connecting to where you're at in your emotional wave from day to day or month to month or however your wave works. When are you feeling melancholy and you need to kind of be in your creative muse and really embrace that? When are you feeling the high of life and like enjoy that human experience? And when are you coming more to that neutral place? Ultimately, you should be making your decisions based on your emotional wave, coloring that decision. When it comes to somebody who has their solar plexus undefined, you are going about the world in different environments and around people, picking up and feeling their emotional wave that day. And you have the wisdom to name it for them or be empathic or honor that they may be in a bluesy state and you can give them space. Or you can pick up their when they're on the high and be like, yes, I'm going to ride this emotional train. Human design says that feeling emotion is kind of the birthright of being a human. I mean, that's what we're here to do, is to feel the polarity of having hard times and having great times, being in an emotional low and being in an emotional high. The difference of defined or undefined is if you're defined, you're either really more in your own emotions, kind of swimming in that at all times. If you're undefined, you are going about the world swimming in everyone else's emotions. When you're completely on your own and you have a good energy practice, you should be able to empty yourself out to be at a neutral state emotionally. But when you're around others, you can really pick up the emotions of a crowd. Think about like when you watch a movie or you're in a concert, you are feeling everyone else's emotional reactions around the song that's being sung or the movie that's being played. Okay, let's take it over to the sacral center. If you have this center defined, you are either a manifesting generator or a generator. If you have it undefined, you are either a manifester, a projector, or a reflector. This sacral energy center is a hub for creativity, for work and sexuality. It is the center that literally sustains itself in a creative way. When it is defined, you wake up to consistent access to this creative life force energy every day. And as long as you're responding correctly to what's coming towards you, you're doing things that are in alignment for you, and you're responding actually from this sacral energy center. This is a center that keeps creating energy, not only for yourself, but for the environment around you. For those of you around you who have it undefined, you are here to not necessarily have that consistent, sustaining work, creative energy every day. When you're around a generator or manifesting generator, you can sure pick it up. And on a low kind of expression of that is you may not be wise of when it's not yours anymore, and you may get really depleted and tired from it later. On a high expression, you can pick it up and ride the energy of this sacral motor energy. And then later, when you're by yourself, rest or work more from like the couch, or more do like active rest things. So if it's undefined, you are meant to be wise about your work, how much you should be working, when you should be resting. You're very wise on when to use that creative motor to bring work and creative things into this world, and when to rest. If you have it defined, you are meant to be wise in regards to feeling the response coming from your sacral motor of when something is a yes for me and when something is a no, because ultimately it's going to lead you towards generating more energy in that center and getting more lit up. All right, let's take it over to the left one more time to the Spleen Center. This is the most primal center in human design. It governs our intuitive awareness, our primal needs, our health and wellness, and ultimately different fears that we have as humans. If you have the Spleen Center defined, you have like a consistent radar for your fears, kind of what sets you into that fight or flight mode. You also have this connection to a consistent intuitive awareness and a consistent hit. It's not the gut. It's not coming from the sacral. It's like this little hit that only comes once. And, it's telling you, drink that, eat that, don't take the same route you take every day to work. Like those little hits that your mind likes to dismiss, that's coming from your Spleen Center. If you have this undefined, you don't necessarily have that safety radar. You are picking up the fears of other people, or you're picking up feeling if the environment or the people are in good health and wellness, you're taking that on. If they're not so healthy, you're feeling that in your own body of like something doesn't feel healthy here. So it's really interesting also with the intuition part of the spleen as well, is like if you have that undefined, you can still get those quiet intuitive hits, but the wisdom there is to more feel when you're around a defined spleen person, feeling their quiet intuitive hit. I've read somewhere that undefined spleen people can be quite wise when it comes to energy healing because they're literally feeling the health of that person energetically. Okay, taking it down to the last center, the root center, very bottom of your chart. This is a pressure center that either creates stress or motivation for you. People who have this center defined, depending on what it's connected to, again, what center it's connected to, or multiple, they have this adrenalized pressure to like go and make things happen, or to emote, or to check in with their health and wellness or their intuition, just depending on what it's connected to. For those of you who have it undefined, you can actually be quite wise about when you need to get up and go and rush, and actually when you're able to walk more slowly or rest or keep time with the actual slower Earth's rhythm. So I would say it doesn't matter if you have it defined or undefined. It's really important with the root center to be wise about when you're overusing that pressure. And what are you using that pressure on? You want to use it depending on what it's connected to its purpose. With someone who has it undefined, they can be around defined root centers and just feel like they're in a rush all the time. And that's not them. For someone who does have it defined, check in with yourself. Are you rushing because society has conditioned us to do that? Do you actually just need to get a workout in because you're feeling that extra pressure from your root center? And that will ultimately allow you to become more grounded when you are trying to work on something creative. Okay, so there you have it, you guys. A quick insight and a bit off the cuff look into all of the 9 centers in human design. This part of your chart is so important. It really shows you how your energy flows, where you have consistent access to energy every day when you're by yourself, and where you pick up and amplify other people's energy or the environment around you, and how you can use that to your advantage and really connect that with your gifts that you're meant to come in and express expressed in this lifetime. I'm so excited to teach you even more about human design because while I'm making these videos, I'm just like, it's popping off for me again. So I love reviewing this over and over and over again. If you would like to book a human design reading, head over to my website, danafay.com, so you can learn what energy type you are and ultimately what centers you have defined and undefined. If this video was helpful for you, please like and subscribe, send it to a friend, put in a comment, let me know what centers you have defined and undefined. I would so love to hear from you, and I'm so excited to make even more videos for you so you can understand what you came here to be and express and ultimately be free as you in this lifetime. Thank you, everybody.